41 test matches, 147 ODIs, over 6,000 international runs, and a critical 65 runs in the 96 World Cup final that helped deliver Sri Lanka its first ever world title. Please welcome Asanka Gurusinha.
I'll put success very close with happiness in life. When I say confident, I was confident that I can do my job, and I was confident that I won't get out easily. The time you put in to be quality, not just the time. It's not like I have worked for 7 hours, I'm tired. You don't need to work 7 hours. You can do 3 hours of real quality work and get better results. But I'm going to tell a story which I haven't said anywhere. Now,
Hey, sorry to interrupt. I just have a favour to ask before we begin. If you've been enjoying these conversations and want more stories that redefine success, please do us a massive favour and hit the subscribe button over on our YouTube channel. It literally takes 2 seconds to do and is completely free. It's a small gesture, but it makes a massive difference for us as it really helps us to grow the show. And with that, let's get into the episode. All right, welcome back to the Quest for Success podcast, and thanks for tuning in once again. Today on the show, really excited for this conversation because we're joined by Asanka Gurusinha, who, if you haven't heard that name before, what are you doing? Because he's a legend of Sri Lankan cricket, and really excited to dive into his journey and also what he's doing now after his cricketing career.
And Asanka, thank you for joining us. I mean, we looked up to you when we were kids, and I went to your brother's school. And we've seen you coming from school cricket to international cricket. And so it's a really privilege to have you on our show. And thanks for joining us.
no, it's great to be here. Very good.
And Asanka, this podcast is all about success. And so I want to start with a very fundamental question. And that is, what does success actually mean to you?
Wow. Yeah. Look, I think if you ask 10 people, I think 10 people will give 10 different answers with success. I mean, success to me is different success. Like if it's in work environment, the success for me is you work through the processes in place and then achieve your goal. And that's what it is. But I think in the personal life, to me, I'll put success very close with happiness in life. Like if your family, so to me, that plays a major part. Like in a personal life, if I'm a happy person at home and out, that means it's very successful. But as I said, work-wise is you work through certain processes, as I mentioned, and achieving your goals.
Yeah, absolutely. And Asanka, for us to understand, the man that we're speaking to, we always like to go back to the early beginnings. Can you take us through, your early childhood and how you think, that portion of your life shaped who you've become?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was pretty lucky. My parents were very supportive of everything I did, and from a very young age, I think if I can remember, most probably 4, 5, 6, that age group, I was playing cricket in our garage. And I had a neighbor called Rochita. He's actually in Melbourne as well now.
Nice.
And we both will come after school and straight away, tennis ball, we just play. One person bowls, the other one bats. And we just play. I can't remember how did I play, but it was really fun. And then most of the days around 5 o'clock or so, it's on the street because Colombo is completely different now. And the street I live, my mother, we still have our house there. And you can't even get out of the road now with so many cars going down. But those days you can easily have stumps on the middle of the ground. It wasn't, it was all gravel roads. So we just kept playing. So cricket was pretty much part and parcel of it. And closer to my house, there was a ground, it's called Peterson Park, as well as Kure Park, which was the football ground. So when I was getting a little bit bigger, I used to go there and play actually rugby with some of the young guys, and mainly in Sri Lanka it was called tap rugby. Here they call it touch rugby. It's a bit different, but so I was always involved in sports, and especially those two. Cricket and rugby was two sports at a very young age. And when I said I was lucky earlier, my mother's brothers, they all went to Anand actually. You might know the surname Molligoda.
All right. Yeah.
And pretty much all of them played cricket for Anand as well.
Okay.
So that was also something for me.
That
their support as well. Like two of my uncles especially really backed me at a very young age and supported me. One uncle organized when I was about 7 to go for cricket coaching classes initially to send me to Mr. Van Silva, and before that was Charles Varnakulasuriya, and my uncle organized that.
Yeah.
And then one of my uncles who were living in England is the one who got me the bats, gloves, everything. So when he was coming down on a holiday, he'll bring me those things. So because in Sri Lanka there was no selection or anything those days. I think there was just 1 or 2 shops that would sell cricket gear, and there was no selection at all. Like you just go in here to buy whatever that's there. So I was most probably a very lucky kid because I had all these bats and gloves from England. That helped me. But I think as I said, I have 2 sisters, and we were very close family. My father worked for the Bank of Ceylon. He was a lawyer, and he just supported me and my cricket. He took me to cricket matches to watch club games those days.
All right.
So I used to go and like Saturdays or Sundays, my father will take me and we will watch. He was a big SSC supporter, Sinhalese Sports Club. So, and I ended up playing there as well in the clubs. But I used to go and watch with him all these club games, and those days P. Sarah Trophy games were packed. Like it was, if it was SSC, NCC or Bloomfield, even BRC, Coles, Tamil Union, these are the big clubs those days. And they were packed, and pretty much all Sri Lankan players were playing most of the club games. And these days you don't see people at all in a club watching a club game. There's so much cricket going on. And I started watching cricket, and then I started my schooling at Isipatana, which was only about a 10-minute walk from where I lived. And that's where I first played a proper match. I was 9 years old or somewhere there.
Under 11,
It was actually an under 10 game, which was not a tournament. It was Isipatana and St. Peter's played an under 10 game.
All right.
And that was the first game. And I captained Isipatana. Hashan Tilakaratnam was with me at Isipatana. So we both played together from that day. And then after that game, we registered, under 11 started. So we registered for the under 11 tournament, and we became joint champions in the under 11 with all the other schools like Royals and Thomases, everyone there. It was Isipatana and St. Peter's came into the finals.
Wow.
I can still remember we got 200 plus. Hashan actually got 100 in the final.
Wow, under 10s.
Under 11s. Even I scored a couple of hundreds during the season.
Nice.
And Hashan got a really good 100 in the final. We were winning, but the result those days was we got to get them all out. We got 200 plus, and they were 160 for 9. And so we were awarded joint champions. But yeah, it was, the game was good. And then those days Isipatana was 2 pretty much schools. Isipatana Junior was grade 1 to 5. And then there was called Isipatana Senior School, which was from 6 to 12. But after 5, then I moved to Nalanda. And Hashan moved to DS. So Nalanda is where, at Isipatana, my coach was a gentleman by the name of Raja Tukorala, who's not there anymore in this world. He's the one who most probably guided me initially. And then it was Nelson Mendes at Nalanda. And I always said Nelson Mendes is not just cricket coaching, it was discipline. And he prepared us to face life after school. It's not just hey, you're a cricketer, I'll just do your technical side. No, it was very, very
holistic.
I thank him a lot for that. But that was the initial part, and school was fun. I used to go by bus. There was nothing else. So my father will drop me to the Bambalapitiya bus stand. I had a neighbor who was my classmate as well. So both of us catches the bus after school, we'll come back.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's how we live. But I'm going to tell a story which I haven't said anywhere. Now, as I mentioned, all my uncles were Anandians.
Yeah.
So my uncles wanted me to go to Ananda. And my head was also saying, yeah, that's my uncles. I want to go to Ananda. Ananda didn't take me.
Really?
And
why?
I wouldn't know. For some reason, my uncles tried and because I don't know. I think the 2 kilometer radius was also there, but Nalanda also had the 2 kilometer radius, but you can still go with sports.
Yeah.
So Ananda didn't take me. Nalanda took me, but when I got 100 in the big match when I captained, and when after that 100, I know one of my uncles wrote a letter to then principal and said, this is the kid you refused to take to Ananda who now scored 100 against you
in the big match.
So yeah, that's a story I've never said. But success to me from school days was I was very competitive. From the first under 10 game. Was very, very competitive. When I go in, I will not give my wicket. When I'm fielding, I want to win. And that's what I was always had. And I think I got to thank the coaches who were around me that time, and Raja Tukoral and Nelson Mendes. It wasn't win at any cost, but it was following a process to be successful. Even in cricket, they are like, okay, Asanka, you're going. I was batting days in junior cricket, so he will say, you bat through up to these overs, and then I'll send you a message if I need to change the game. And so we were working to a plan. Even at a young age, even though we didn't realize at that time it was a plan, we will just be instructions from our coach, we'll follow it. But now I understand what was happening, and that was something I enjoyed. And from under 13 to under 19 at Nalanda, it was something. I captained under 17 and under 19 at Nalanda, and I was doing my studies. I was pretty good, but the issue was the A-level exams in Sri Lanka was clashing with the first national tour I was going to make with Sri Lanka. So I was selected to go to Pakistan with the national team in 1985. I was just 19. Not even, actually I wasn't 19 when I was selected. I was selected to go. Dylan Pathirana was captain. Roy Dawes was vice captain in that team. And my mother was dead again. She's like, no, you're going to do your exam. But my father said, no, you won't get a chance like this again. You go on the tour, and if you don't continue, you can still go and do your exams next year. And get it done. So that was the end of my studies pretty much, because when I started there, I kept going.
Before you go into international career, because it's a lot to unpack and understand, I want to go back to your early cricketing career. You said that your dad took you to watch cricket. Any one player particularly inspired you?
Look, in Sri Lanka, there was one person was Anurana Singh that I really liked the way he played. He played for Nalandian. He played for Nalanda, but I wasn't at Nalanda when I started following him. But overall, I didn't have a person that in Sri Lanka saying this is one person. But my person from a very young age I followed was David Gower. He was a left-hander, and I still liked the way he played. He was so relaxed. To me, one of the most beautiful batsmen to watch.
Stroke player.
And as I mentioned, you asked me the question as well about my father taking me to games. It was so funny that I sat in the same changing room with Dylan Pathirana when I was not even 19, I was 18. And I have gone to watch him play for SSC as a young kid. And when he scored 100, I drank, because those days you can go to the ground under the... I tapped him on his shoulder saying, well done. And then some years later, I was sitting next to him in a changing room, and he's my captain.
Wow. Amazing.
So Dulip, Roy, all those guys. I watched everyone, some of those great cricketers who played, like Bandula Varnapura was from Nalanda, and Bloomfield Games was one of the packed house games. Yeah, they were not too happy because I was the first person from Nagaland who actually moved away from Bloomfield. Didn't go there. I went to SSC.
SSC, okay.
Arjuna was there already, and then I was the next person to go to SSC, and I was 16 years when I first joined SSC.
Wow.
It was through my coach. Our Nalanda coach was a gentleman by the name of C.H. Gunasekar, who was all royalist, played for Ceylon. And I was under 17 playing, and he one day after training, he said, I was going by bus after training from Nalanda as well. So he said, you're going home, but you're first going with me to SSC.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, for what? He said, come with me. So we went to SSC, and Michael de Zoysa was there. He died a few years ago, one of the unbelievable people from SSC who gave most probably his whole life to SSC. And Michael came up and said, can you sign here? And there was a form. And I looked at it, it's a membership form. He said, you don't have to pay anything. Yeah, and that Sunday there was a Daily News game, Division 3 game. He said, you're playing this Sunday.
Wow.
And if you don't have transport, I'll pick you up from home and I'll drop you. So
that's fantastic. So there was, always that early sign, other people believing in you, but yourself, did you always have in the back of your mind, I'm going to make it big, regardless?
I won't say I will make it big, but I wanted.
Yeah.
That's a little bit of difference.
But you knew that you had the talent.
Yeah, I don't know at that time whether I knew, but I was hardworking.
Yeah.
That's one. So there are people who's very talented. Like Aravinda De Silva is unbelievably talented.
Yeah.
Like he can not bat in the nets for so long, for a month, go to the middle and get 100. That is ridiculous talent.
Yeah.
And I have never seen a player of that level anywhere in Sri Lanka up to now.
Yeah.
I mean, people will talk about Sangha and Mahela and them, but Sangha will also agree he cannot come close to Ara in that level. But for me, I was very hardworking, so I knew if I work hard, I can achieve things. And with Anura Ranasinghe, those Nalanda guys, Bandulu Anapur and them playing, so I'm like, I want to play for Sri Lanka. Mm-hmm. But I didn't understand Test cricket and stuff because Test cricket only started in 81 for us. I didn't really understand how tough it is and things like that. And but I wanted to play. So I was very lucky initially. I won't say luck, but I was performing. At 17 years, I was selected to represent Sri Lanka under 19.
Oh, right.
To come to Australia.
Oh, wow.
That was my first time I represented Sri Lanka at any level. Yeah. And I was still in school. I was under 17. And we played against the Australian under 19 team, had names, fantastic side, but 4 names which all of you know was Mark Taylor, Steve Waugh, Mark Waugh, and Craig McDermott. So those 4 guys played in that team, in the under 19 team with us. Wow. We played 3 4-day games and 3 one-dayers with them. Yeah. We lost 1 4-dayer, but the other 2 4-dayers were drawn. And the one-dayers we lost 2-1. So it wasn't bad as coming.
Bad in Australia.
It is, and we have never, that's the first ever time I wore a helmet. Before that, I have never worn a helmet. And it was only with the side earmuffs or ear protection. There was no grills or anything. And that's the first time I ever wore. And I struggle. I was talking to my manager who was Ranjit Fernando. I'm like, sir, I don't want to wear this. He's like, no, you're going to wear it.
Especially McDermott bowling.
And it was a good experience. But if you look at it, both teams had I think at the end about 9 or 10 players went on and represented their country from that squads, both squads. But that's where I started. And then I went back and I was still playing for school. I captained school. I captained school. The big match was in March in 1985. And in 1985, September, October, I made my test debut.
Yeah.
So about 5-6 months after the big match, I actually made my test debut. So that's most probably I didn't expect. But again, when I go back now, I was performing. We didn't have too many games, international games. Yeah. But I scored against every team. I had 100. So Indians came under Kapil Dev to Sri Lanka in 85 around July, August. And there was a board president's 11 versus Indian national team. And those days, when you play those games, the Indian all the top players are playing. So the openers of that board president's 11 for India was Sunil Gavaskar, Dilip Bensaka, Mohindra Amaranath, all those guys were playing.
Yeah.
Kapil. And I got 100 against India, and Ravi Shastri was there. And I can still remember a little saying Ravi made to a press saying that might be the future of Sri Lanka.
Yeah.
Because I was very aggressive those days. But I was batting in the middle order at number 5, 6
Right.
in that side.
Yeah.
And I was very, very aggressive. With spinners, I will come out and start hitting. So that's where most probably I started, and then I got into the national squad straight during that tour. So when Sri Lanka won the first ever test match against India, I was actually the 12th man.
Yeah.
So, and then...
That's a history, right? Yeah.
It is, that's history, but I wasn't there playing. I was the 12th man.
But still.
It was good. I was there in the changing rooms, and but it's so funny. These days, if something like that happened, the celebrations would have gone on. There was no celebrations. We won the game. We all got in and went home. and that was the thing, and didn't realize the work the team and those days the administrators did to be successful. Because beating India was not easy. And our batters, and I mean, it was so good to play with people like Roy Dyers, Ranjan Madugalla, Siddharth Vettamuni.
Wow,
I mean,
yeah.
It was so good, and Dulip and them, it was so good to bat with them, talk to them, and that is something that I think part of my successful story, they all played a major part, because it's not helping them with technique, but after a game, say on a tour of India, or even my first tour to Pakistan, Siddharth, Ashanta Dimel, Ranjan and them will sit with us in the night after dinner in a room, because we were staying in motels or rest houses sometimes. And they will talk to me about cricket. This is how you need to handle situations. And to me, that was unbelievably helpful. Like, they will tell me, Imran Khan bowls like this, because my test debut, Imran Khan was captaining Pakistan. Javed Miandad was there, and Zahir Abbas, my first test, and Zahir Abbas's last test was the same game. And Zahir was about 39, and he was this unbelievable player for Pakistan. Played a lot of crickets for Gloucestershire as well. And I got to know them, and I sat with them in changing rooms, and Zahir also had a long chat to me about it. So looking at success, like Sunil Gavaskar was one who actually most probably out of an international player gave me the best advice. And like, if you watch him play, when he leaves the ball, his head, he watches right to the keeper's hand. These days you go batsman, just leave it like that. Gavaskar will go like that. That's how he's... And the advice he said is, he said, Guru, you need to know every second where your off stump is when you're batting. He said, that is my success. He said, that is his success. He said, I knew my off stump, every ball where it is, so I knew when to leave, what shot to play. He said, if you can master that, you can be very successful in cricket. And this is in 1985. This is a long time ago.
I mean, nice of him to give that advice.
And he was so good. He sat with me in the changing room, had a long chat, and he had a shop called Sunny Sports those days in Mumbai. And we were going to Mumbai. Those days was called Bombay. And he gave me a phone number and said, call this place and go and pick up any cricket gear you want from there.
Wow.
So, I mean, these things I have never said anywhere, but to me, this show is about success, but those are all very important to me, that my journey, I had that privilege of sitting down and talking about cricket with greats like Sunil Gavaskar, greats like Zahir Abbas, and talking to them about how they handle the great West Indian bowling attack. I mean, Gavaskar's debut season was in West Indies, and I think he scored in a 4-test series or something, he scored 700 runs against a West Indian and in West Indies. So I was talking to him about it, and he was like, I was happy to get hit on my body, but again he went, I knew my off stump, so I knew what I need to do. So that to me was so great. And those, to be honest, all teams, we played a lot against India, Pakistan, but they were very helpful. Even Ravi Shastri was not that old, but Ravi is another guy who has spend time with me and discuss about my game, even though we were competitors pretty much.
Giving that wisdom.
And I want to know, you were quite young going into the team. Most 17, 18-year-olds, just messing around, and you're on the world stage, playing cricket. How important do you think, like maturing at a young age, did that help you to mature? Like being around such incredible mentors and, guys and being on the world stage?
Absolutely. But I think I got to say I was welcomed by the senior leadership team very well.
Yeah.
Like I think when I walked in, I'm not talking about the ages now, but Dulip was most probably 14, 15 years older than me.
Wow. Yeah.
And they were coming to the end of their careers. Yeah. But Dulip was another guy who always was very supportive.
Yeah.
And you can do some silly things, but Dulip will not go and report to anyone. Dulip will sit with their mate.
Yeah.
It was not mate, Machan.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
Yeah.
This is the way you go. And they guided us very well. And Dulip, Roy, Ranjan, Siddharth, as I said, and Ashanta Dimel, those guys really guided us.
Yeah.
And Ravi Ratnayak, even Ravi and I are very, very close friends now. But those guys were so supportive and guided me. And I think the maturity also was, I don't know whether it's good or bad, but my only focus was cricket.
Yeah.
So I was not looking at anything outside that. So I was training. I didn't bat a lot. I was not a cricketer who will go to a net and bat for hours. For me, 15 minutes, 20 minutes was more than enough in a net with bowlers. I was not a guy who had throwdowns because to me, I want match conditions to do things.
Yeah.
But I spent a lot of time doing fielding and fitness. Fitness those days was, the only thing we knew was running.
Yeah.
So I could run 10, 15 laps of anywhere at good pace.
Yeah.
So I knew I had the endurance. And that's most probably one thing, my fielding. So Roshan and myself both, we used to spend a lot of time on our own doing fielding.
Yeah. You're talking about Roshan, right? You both played cricket together at school. And then did you come similar time to the national team?
I actually played before him.
Oh, right.
So Rosh was, he was always the captain in school. So I was captaining after him the following years. So we played together. We were very good friends from the age of 12 or so. And even now we are very, very close friends. Like every Tuesday we have a phone call.
All right.
That we do. And we have been doing this for the last, 25, 30 years.
That's lovely.
So Rosh was the person that everyone thought will go and play for Sri Lanka very quickly. He was very stylish. Scoring very heavily in school cricket.
Yeah. Schoolboy cricketer.
Yeah, and that's another one. And when he became schoolboy cricketer in 1984, I told myself, I'm going to win that next year. And I want it next year. But I realized what I need to do. So as a batter, I realized Roshan scored 1,000 runs. I knew I had to score 1,000 runs in a school season. And it was very rare those days to score 1,000 runs because we only played about somewhere between 10 and 12 games for a season. And in those games, you have to score 1,000 runs. So to be honest, you will get a maximum of 3 or 4 for a year from island-wide scoring 1,000.
Yeah.
The year I scored, there was only 2. Myself and a guy from Kandy, I think Kingswood or somewhere, a guy scored 1,000 runs there. That was all.
Yeah.
So because of the number of games, I knew if I can get there, then there's a better chance of doing it. So that year I also won the same awards that Rosh won the previous year, so schoolboy cricketer and the best batsman award.
Yeah. So
I was, as I said, I was very competitive. But I didn't show a lot. I was inside me that, okay, I'll work through that.
Yeah.
And I scored as I mentioned earlier, in every international game I got, whether it's a board 11 game. We played against Pakistan under 23s, was captained by Salim Malik.
Yeah.
And so all these are when I was, 19?
Yeah.
19 or so. It's all in 1985. So Salim Malik, captain, Wasim Akram, all those guys were there. I got 100 against them. I got 100 against England A that came to Sri Lanka under Mark Nicholas and had Derek Randall, all those guys there. So I got 100 against them. And then in 1985, I got 400s against international teams. And that's what I was I played before Rosh.
Yeah. Talking about hundreds, you have the only century in MCG for Sri Lankan cricketer. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. What was that experience like?
Look, it was a great experience, but at that time you only look at the team and what we have to do.
Yeah.
And now when I look back, absolutely, because it's at that time when you look at it, one of the world's best bowling attacks.
Yeah.
Because they had McGrath, McDermott, Vaughan and Rifle. And at MCG, Boxing Day Test.
Australian conditions.
Yeah, the ball, and those wickets were not drop down wickets. They were proper turf wickets when I say it. It's something, it'll be always there. And I think I got to thank David Cruz, who actually had a function on the same day I got the 100 at his restaurant.
Yeah.
Invited our closest friends and family, and we celebrated the 30 years.
Oh wow!
It was 30 years ago that I got that.
That's incredible. And I was doing a bit of reading before this, and you were often described as like the rock that held together the Sri Lankan batting lineup. You know, the dependable number 3. And I want to know, what was your mindset to be able to come in, you know, in a tumultuous game, lots going on, maybe wickets are falling, to come in and steady the ship? What was that mindset?
Yeah. It started in my third test that I played for Sri Lanka, which was at the Pisara Stadium against Pakistan. So my test debut was against Pakistan, in Karachi. Then Pakistanis came to Colombo, and I played the second test. And that's the first time I went at number 3, because a day before the second test, Roy Dias got injured.
Uh-huh.
And I was also coming after an injury with England A. I was hit on my finger and got a fracture, and I was recovering. I was just cleared to play about 4 or 5 days before. And the day before the game, Roy got injured. And I wasn't playing that second test because Roy was going to play. And the management was looking at bringing me back slowly. And I was never batted at number 3 before. And Abu Fuad, who was the team manager, chairman of selectors those days, came up to me the day before the game. I was at training with Roy, and then Roy got hit, and they're like, he's out. He got hit on this part of the hand, and there was a fracture. And Abu came and said, you're batting tomorrow at number 3. But the thing was this, I think if you tell a player these days who has never batted, would have said, no, I don't want to do that, I'll bat low down.
Yeah.
But to me it's a challenge, I'll take it. Yeah. I said, I'll go. So that particular test, I think the first innings I got I can't remember, 40 or something.
Wow, that's good.
And then the second innings, we won that test. So I was 15 not out or something like that when we won.
Yeah.
And then the third test at the Oval, Pisara Stadium, we had to bat through in the second innings. I got another 40 in the first. And then second innings, if we didn't bat through, we would have lost. And that's where I think a lot of things changed, the way I was batting. Because I realized I got to get them to bowl to where I want to play and where my strength is, which is, my strength was always driving straight and then leg side. I was very good pulling. Yeah. And that's where, so I thought, okay, I need to get them to bowl straighter. So anything else, I'm not going to play. Yeah. And those days, there was no bouncer rule. They can bowl 6 bouncers at you. There was no one bouncer rule. Yeah. And they were hammering us. Imran, Wazim, Zaki Khan, then they had Abdul Qadir as a leg spinner. And those 3 fast bowlers will just... And I got hit. I was wearing a chest pad, elbow guard, everything, but I got hit everywhere. Below the neck, pretty much. I was wearing a helmet, but there was no grill. Yeah. And I had, like, when I finished the innings, I had patches in my body. Yeah. But to me my only thinking was, I'm not going to give my wicket, but I'll I'll bat through. So I batted the whole day, and that's my debut 100 as well.
Wow.
And Arjuna batted with me on the other end. So we batted the whole day and we saved the test match.
Yeah.
That is where things started, and then that's where people started saying after that what you mentioned.
Yeah.
Because that was the important part of most probably my journey.
Yeah. So when you're like a youngster, you had a lot of senior players, big names. You had any you're under pressure from all these big heroes playing next to you? Were you really
No.
pressured by these guys?
Yeah. Actually my thinking was they're under pressure from me.
Yeah.
Because I was confident as well.
Yeah.
I was pretty confident. And that when I say confident, I was confident that I can do my job.
Yeah.
And was confident that I won't get out easily. So
yeah, I mean probably that helped.
Yeah.
Yeah, for you to kind of continue your journey.
Correct.
As the rock, as Dylan mentioned, that not to get out and continue to bat, right?
Yeah.
And support the team. And you're also wearing a white helmet, right? Any reason for that?
No, those days we didn't get helmets from Sri Lanka Cricket or anything.
Yeah.
So we had to get our own helmets. And that was a helmet that Sunil Gavaskar gave me. It was a sunny. If you look at Chloe, it was a sunny helmet.
Oh wow!
And that's the reason I wore that. And that's with a grill.
Yeah.
And Sunil gave it to me once when I was in India.
That's
I was with Gun and Mo.
Yeah.
So I couldn't use his gear.
All right.
But he said, I'll take my helmet and go.
Yeah. Yeah. So Asanka, I know those days when you're early days, early 90s, you didn't have many sponsorships, right? As players, they were more part-time. You had to work. You had to go and work.
Yeah.
And when was the first time you were getting more sponsorships and things like that? Is that after 96?
Well, sponsorship wise, we had most of the players we had cricket gear contracts, but not big money.
Yeah.
I was initially with Simmons, Indian company, which has come back again, started again now, and then Gun and Mo for pretty much most probably 10 years of my career. Yeah. So they did pay me as well.
Okay.
And they gave me all the gear, but they did pay me money. They had incentives, hundreds in one day as in test as well. But you can't compare now to those days.
Yeah.
But other than that, there was nothing else. Sri Lanka Cricket paid us when we were touring, and it was also nothing much and I'm not blaming them. They had to pay what they had.
Yeah.
There was no money for them. And they will have you call it a tour fee, which is a very small amount in dollars. And then when you tour overseas, you get the meal allowance, normal ones, and that was it.
Yeah.
So it was the companies that helped us. So I was employed by Navaloka Group initially, by Upali Dharmadasa, and he's one person that really helped me, because when I left school, he employed me, and his first thing was, I don't want you to come to work, but I want you to play cricket hard, train hard. He got a membership for me at a gym, and he said, and he will call the gym and ask them whether I came. And that's the support. So again, about success. So all those guys, they play this 1% stuff from behind the scenes in my journey.
Yeah.
And Ranatunga called you, the unsung hero. And I want to know, what were some of the lessons about leadership that you learned going through, starting as a young boy and seeing your heroes, mentor you, and kind of growing up through the ranks of cricket?
So to me, my leaders when I was there, I started with Dulip, then Ranjan, and then it was Arjuna, pretty much. I think 3 different leaders. Dulip was most probably learning as well at that time a lot more. He was a bit relaxed as a leader. Ranjan was on the completely other side of a leadership thing, but had fantastic knowledge about the game. And Arjuna most probably was the person who understood each player. So leadership is at that level is understanding each player and looking at how he can communicate with each person, because that's most probably his strength. And in a simple word, is people management.
Yeah.
He was tough, but at the same time he had 4 or 5 senior players like us around him who will support him so he could do his job and work on it. So his leadership was, and we were very lucky, and that 96 period coming from most probably 92 onwards, Dylan Pathirana being part of the team as team manager and chairman of selectors.
Yeah.
So for us, we played with Dylan, and it was very easy to communicate with Dylan.
Yeah.
And Dylan, Arjuna, Ari, myself, Rosh, Hassan, and then Davotmo.
Yeah.
We were the ones who will discuss things about what's going on, what's happening, and it was always discussed. Arjuna never took a decision without during a game, if it's from the toss to anything, without talking to the senior players.
Yeah.
So to me, the leadership was getting people involved, and he will even go and talk to the new guys like Murali, Sana, and them, Vasi, and ask them some stuff. So that's to me is why people say he's one of the best captains. Yeah. Because he knew how to work with each player.
Talking about success, I want you to take us through that 1996 World Cup, because that changed the dynamics of Sri Lankan cricket, winning the World Cup. And you play a big role in that 1996 World Cup, winning the final game, score 125 runs, partnership with Aravinda, you scored 65 runs yourself.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like?
Look, the journey started in 92. When Australians came down to Sri Lanka and Arjuna was reinstated as captain again as well, because Aravinda captain a couple of years before that, and I was Ara's vice captain. But Arjuna coming back again, and we played against Australia. We had about 4 or 5 teams coming to Sri Lanka in that 2-year period, 92, 93. To me, that was the start of the journey. So we started building this team without any knowledge about building a team for the World Cup, but we started getting the players together and playing together. So if you look at the 14 members that went for that World Cup, we started playing together, most of us from about 92. Yes, the 5 senior players were there from I started in 85, so Hassan and Roshan came in 86. So Ara started in 84. So when we look at it, 5 of us were there for a long time.
Yeah.
But the rest as well, from 92, say, Sanat was already there from 89, then Vasi, Murali, Pramod, they all came from that 91, 92 period. So, and then they stayed. That's something I think Dylan and Arjuna did. They didn't drop players like that and say, get out. Kept them going. Kumar, Dharmasena, Kalu. So then Dav came into the squad. In 1995, and his first tour was Pakistan, and we won the Test series and the one-day series there. So that's most probably
turning point
of okay, we can beat teams, because nobody before that for nearly a long time. The last time a team beat Pakistan in Pakistan was early 80s, and us doing that was a big call. Then we came to Sharjah and won there against West Indies as well, and in Australia that 95-96 summer we got thrashed against Australia in some games, but they were very close as well. We were building momentum. We knew our one-day form is good. We beat West Indies to get into the final. We nearly won the first final at the MCG against Australia, and then the second final as well, which was a rain-affected game. We could have won it. So when you look back, I think that tour gave us the belief, and then the incidents that happened in Australia, Murali was called for chucking. That got team together a lot more. Team was always together, but I think that really got us and say, we'll do this. And then Australia pulling out of the World Cup was, I think, Arjuna's comment, which I didn't realize at that time, saying, I want Australia in the final. And these are the things Arjuna was really good at, getting under the skin of players. Even Shane Warne telling him, I'll see you here. See you in the finals. And and I think he said in the press conference, I think he's the most underrated bowler or something. The day before the final in a press conference, Arjuna said he's the most underrated bowler. So he started playing games there. And and that's ended up. And the other thing was we all had a role to play. That was very good from Dav and Dulip, who sat with each player and said, this is your role. And my role was bat the 50 overs. We don't care what it is. we want you to bat that 50 overs. If we need any changes, we'll send you messages.
Yeah, okay.
But other than that, you bat 50 overs. Because if their plan was, if I am there, the others can bat around me.
Yeah.
And those days, the winning score was, say, 230, 240 was winning.
Yeah.
You can win scores.
Yeah.
And it was not 300 runs. And that's what it is.
And especially like losing 2 early wickets.
Correct. But to be honest, that Sri Lankan team was the most experienced team in that World Cup. Overall, if you take it. Between the top 7 players, I think we had over 1,000 one-day games. No other team had it.
Yeah.
We had the 5 senior players were playing together from, say, 1985, 86 onwards. No other team had that.
Yeah.
We have gone through tough times, getting thrashed to beating New Zealand in New Zealand, beating Pakistan in Pakistan, and doing a lot of things together. So when you go back and look at the records, I think a lot of people shouldn't have been surprised.
Yeah, definitely. And you retired at 30 years old, which, you know, for cricket is fairly young. I imagine it was a very difficult decision. Can you take us to that period? What was going through your head?
To be honest, it wasn't a difficult decision. I was already in Australia playing, those days it was called district cricket, which is Premier Cricket now. I had a 3-year contract with North Melbourne, but I was still going back to play. I think when you look back, I was selected to go to New Zealand in 97 February or something. And I said, okay, that's great. I'll fly from Melbourne to Auckland. And they said, no, you're going to fly to Colombo for 24 hours and then fly back with the team. I'm like, why is that? It's a 3-hour flight from here to Auckland. I'll go even a day before and I'll meet you there. They said, no, you got, and it's not it was more, politically at that time. And I knew why they were doing it. And I just couldn't, and that's the time I just decided I'm going to pull out of the New Zealand tour. So I pulled out of the New Zealand tour, and I was disappointed because, and then I was more disappointed because all the before that, the 2 tours to New Zealand in 1991 and 94 or something, I scored heavily. I think I got nearly three test hundreds there and a one-day 100 plus 70s, 80s, a lot of runs in New Zealand. And we got thrashed 3-0. In those 2 seasons before that, series, we didn't lose a test match to New Zealand and we got done 3-0 that 97 season. And I was disappointed because I always loved playing in New Zealand and those wickets. So, and that's the time that North Melbourne came to me and said, look, and they knew I was very unhappy what was going on. They said, look, it's up to you, but if you want to live here, we are happy to support you. And that's where the decision was made at that time, saying, this is enough. Had a long chat with my wife, long chat with my father, and he was disappointed. And then I just wrote a letter to Sri Lanka Cricket.
But that was like kind of, as you said, you're in the peak, you retired. I mean, it's a big loss for Sri Lanka cricket as well. And do you regret that decision?
No, I don't regret it at all because I think I made the right decision at that time. Cricket changed. Cricket went backwards. Not because of me, but because of the politics that came in there. And it wasn't the best teams playing anymore. It was the people who were favorites were playing from there. And the Sri Lankans' downfall actually started after winning the World Cup, which is sad because before that, there was nobody in the board to even do anything. After that, everybody wants to come to the board. And that next election after the World Cup, they kicked out Ana Puncheva, who was the board president when we won. And it was a coup where a couple of senior players were part of that.
Wow.
To get rid of Ana Puncheva and bring someone else. So it is sad, so I don't have any regrets of leaving.
It sounded like that, you know, there was a little bit of bad taste in your mouth after you left Sri Lankan cricket. But then years later, you ended up going back to Sri Lankan cricket. Was there any hesitation in that move?
No. I think, yes, I left when I retired. We had Arjun and I didn't talk for a long time after that. But I think to me was, okay, what do I take the day I die? Do I take that saying, we haven't spoken, what the hell is this? So, and I made the conscious effort of calling him and having a chat to him after that. But, and then we became again friends, and we are very good friends now again. And we will spend, like, I was in US in 2024, my wife and I, and we actually stayed with Arjuna for a couple of days in LA. So, and when Arjuna comes to Melbourne, he will come and stay with me.
Yeah.
But going back was nothing to do with anything. I always wanted to go back and give something back to cricket. I think when you get more mature, you realize, and because of my experience in Australia in coaching as well as in administration, I thought this is a good time.
Yeah.
And then, the time came. Aravinda was one of the main reasons I went back. Ara was the chairman of the cricket committee who convinced me to come out. And most probably the best experience that I had for nearly 3 years. And I realized how difficult to do things here. When you work in Australia for a long time, you're used to working they are very transparent here, very direct in what you do. You don't worry about anything, and you realize when you go there, what they say is not what they do.
Yeah.
And then the politics, it's huge. Because I was a selector as well. When I went there, I was a selector. I was team manager initially for the 18 months before I moved in as the head of high performance. But as a selector and a team manager, I won't mention names, but I've got calls from politicians for team selection.
Wow.
Saying, can you make sure? And these are not just normal MPs. They are very high up. So I realized it's difficult. So when I finished my contract, I came back.
Yeah.
It was difficult. It was very difficult. And now sitting outside, I know what's happening, why Sri Lanka cricket is struggling, because you can't get a team to perform unless the whole structure is right.
And I want to move to that pivot to, post cricket. Tell us what you're working on now, and like, how has that transition been into, the post, I suppose, sporting life?
So what happened was I in Australia, I played 6 seasons of cricket, and I was still working. I started in a media company, actually, with News Corp.
All right.
Which owned leader newspapers. Like in Sydney, I think those days they had not Quest, isn't it? There was another company. All of these community papers.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's where I started. And then after 6 years with cricket, I decided I wasn't motivated to really play. And that's not right to just play for a club, get the money and go. So I said that's enough, and I completely walked away. And what I did was I focused 100% on my work.
Yeah.
And that's where I went from. That's where I went through. I had nearly 8 to 10 years with News Corp. And I was always in the media, that area. And then recently, I completely moved out of the media I was, and I joined a very small digital marketing agency. Because that's a nice place, a great company, and more flexibility for me to do what I do. It's remote work, 100% remote. We don't actually have office at all.
Yeah.
But my focus was always in that sales and operations. So that helped me, and I did some studies as well. So
nice,
which is good.
Yeah. So from years of doing international cricket and going through all these ups and downs, have you sort of taken any lessons to your business now that you can apply?
Absolutely. Overall, cricket gives you a lot of lessons in your work. And one of the main things is the time you put in to be quality. Not just the time. It's not like I have worked for 7 hours, I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's the quality. You don't need to work 7 hours. You can do 3 hours of real quality work and get better results.
Yeah.
So I think that's something I've taken up. And then through cricket as well, because I did work with Nigerian cricket as well for a couple of years after Sri Lanka cricket. And it's creating the environment is something that I'm enjoying as well, because this particular company, that's one of the main things they wanted. creating that. The word is overused, I feel, creating a high performance environment. But that's kind of environment that the experience that creating the right environment to be successful.
Yeah, that's great. So, Asanka, I want to, you just mentioned earlier, you're a grandfather of 2. And if you don't mind sharing, like, your personal side.
Oh, yeah. So I got 2 children, my son Yuanta and daughter Onela. So Onela is the one, my daughter, who's married and got 2 kids. She actually got married during COVID in 2020. And I was just about to go to Nigeria as well to take up my job.
Yeah.
And the wedding had to be outside in a park because of the Victorian rules. And only 6 people could be there. And that included the couple, the registrar, that's 3, and a cameraman, that's 4. So there's only 2 others. So Andrew, who's my son-in-law, his parents were interstate. So they couldn't come down. So Kushi and myself were the other 2. Even our son couldn't be there, but he was standing far away watching this. So that's an experience as well. Look, the life has been really good. And the reason I left Nigeria also is the grandkids.
Yeah.
Because we were missing them. We were doing video calls every day, and Kushi and I sat down and said, what the hell are we doing? Because when they grow up, after a certain age, they will do their own thing.
Absolutely.
And then, we decided, our eldest grandson, Logan, was born in 2021. I was here. I actually came down from Nigeria and went through 2 weeks of quarantine, everything. And then we went back, and then we realized that's enough. And 2022, I came back to Australia again. And then Ripley was born in 23. So we're very, very close.
Family.
They are very close to us. And that's pretty much my life now.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And, Asanka, honestly, we could talk to you for hours and hours on end. But I want to ask you, looking back on this, incredible journey that we've spoken about, given your definition of success was largely around achieving your goals and then also, pursuing happiness or achieving happiness with your family, do you feel successful?
Absolutely. I am. I think success is part of each individual's, and I know there are measurements. Like you go to a workplace, they will have measurements and say, you haven't done your sales, achieve your sales goals, so you're not successful. Yeah, the company can look at it that way, absolutely, because they are. But to me, overall, is after moving here as well, from the first day, I don't have any regrets, and I'm very happy. And I know I have been successful in what I have done, and it all comes down to whatever I do, I put everything into it. Even with the family, if I'm putting it, I'm 110% in. So that's what it is. Even now, I do some development coaching with Dandenong Cricket Club, and I give 110% to them when I'm there.
Giving back,
So I think that to me is the reason that I'm happy as well. I do things now that make me happy and what I want to do. So I think I'm in it's a time now that I can select a little bit of what I do.
Yeah, definitely.
And looking at the flexibility of spending time. As I said earlier, in the conversation, I'm not going to the Anandanala, the big match, because of family.
Asanka, it's been an incredible discussion, but I've been trying to pull out what I think are some of the traits that you embody, which have led to what I would say is a very successful life. The first is, I think it's drive and tenacity. Even from a young age, you just did everything that you had to do to make sure you made it. And I think it kind of goes to your hard work mentality. And there's a great quote that, hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard, right? And I think, you definitely embody that. You're always looking at, what can I do? Okay, I've got to go and do this. Yep, let's go and get it done. You're just always, that hard work shines through. And I think that's really important to where you got to. The next one is you kind of, as part of that, it's very strategic thinking. You're always looking at, okay, what is it that I can do to improve? And, putting in processes and systems in place to get there. Whatever needs to be done, you go and get it done. And the final one is gratitude. And I think a lot of our discussion was, framed around the people who had helped you coming on your way up. And now it's almost your turn to do the giving back. And I think you appreciate that, the fact that so many people helped you along the way on your journey. And now it's kind of, you're doing the giving back, whether it was when you went back to Sri Lanka to, coach and select, or now, the work you're doing with Dandenong Cricket. So really grateful that we got to sit down and have this.
I remember you, Asanka, when I was at school watching you playing cricket and also international level you playing. I saw you as a giant. And I feel really, really honored today, like we're sitting next to you and having this chat, and you've been really, really authentic and open, share that your story with us, and I feel really, really honored, and thank you so much for your time and be with us and sharing that amazing story. And I'm sure our viewers watching this will take a lot of takeaways, and from your background and your experience, and thanks for sharing that.
No, thank you. Thanks for having me. It was good to have a chat. And sometimes, as I said, there are things that I would never said will come out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I enjoyed it, so it's good. Thank you.
Thank you, Asanka. And for our listeners, if you've gotten something out of today's episode, it would mean the world if you can like and subscribe. Helps us to get to more and more ears. And you can see all of our episodes over at our website, thequestforsuccesspodcast.com. And with that, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for listening.